Another Download festival has passed us by, and there are multiple reasons why it was for me one of the best, but also one of the worst. However, there were some issues which overall brought the whole festival down for me personally. 2 SD cards and one of them was corrupted, so we couldn't do the 2 camera angle stuff, which I was really looking forward to. And then it just got worse from then on in. There was an interview which was corrupted and we recorded 23 seconds. Then afterwards, my battery cut out and the SD card that we did have, I couldn't use, and I had to cancel my interview with Employed to Serve. I'm super sorry, I would have loved to chat to you guys. And then I got a migraine during Avenged Sevenfold and had to pay 50 quid for a cab to get back to our hotel. So, it was a mixed bag, and it gets somewhat worse as well, but I'll tell you a bit later on. So, we arrived at the festival and heard Avatar kind of playing, and we had to run to the press tent because we had some real cool interviews that I'll be rolling out this week. We caught a statue for the King, which was, I think, maybe the first song they opened with. But it sounded absolutely fantastic, and Avatar on the main stage just looked really great. And then later on, after all the press was done, we were able to check out Loathe as well, who are one of my favourite bands, you know, in the sort of the UK scene at the moment. I think that Loathe have really got something different that bands can kind of like really pick out on. And they drew a massive crowd as well. We also caught a small amount of Marmozets, which, although they're not really my thing, they didn't sound amazing. But what I did think was absolutely incredible was the fact that Download had gotten someone who would sign the music. I think I saw maybe 2 or 3 people, but there was a guy, you know, he was enjoying himself and signing, and I just thought it was so cool. Like, that's such a cool thing to have at a festival. But then later on we ran out and made sure to catch a little bit of Cancer Bats. They never really disappoint, and I think that, you know, their sort of home is the Avalanche stage, and their performance that day was absolutely brilliant. Sabotage was massive as a cover, and then Lucifer's Rocking Chair as well. Of course, you can't deny Hail Destroyer as well, you know, and that riff comes in. It was just like the pit ignited. But I really liked the sort of overall energy that Cancer Bats had. But Brightest Days also sounded really, really great, I thought, and I think that, you know, the material on The Spark That Moves is absolutely wicked. Then afterwards we were kind of roaming around and checked out a bit of Jonathan Davis, which was a real surprise if I'm totally honest. I've never been a massive Korn fan, but I thought that his solo work was really interesting and there was a lot of different nuances, and I feel that maybe some people might have been brought there, you know, because he's the singer of Korn, but they've actually seen a totally different side to what Jonathan Davis was like. I thought it was cool that, you know, he brought out the Queen of the Damned classic of Not Meant For Me, and I'm sure that, you know, like some of the older fans really, really appreciated that. But it was cool to see his festival debut and, you know, play his own material. But before we hit up Bullet For My Valentine, we were able to catch a little bit of Volbeat. And Volbeat have been a band that I've never really sort of listened to that much, but from what I heard, I thought it sounded really great, and there was a massive crowd. Like, I was really surprised by how many people they attracted. After that, we headed over to the main stage for Bullet For My Valentine, which was kind of one of the most anticipated sets of this day for me. I thought the band had an absolutely killer live performance, and that there was the classics of, you know, Your Betrayal, 4 Words to Choke Upon, Scream Aim Fire, that kind of like brought back that sort of nostalgic feel, and made me really kind of feel as though I was, yeah, back in like mid-2000s metalcore.
I'll take it.
But their newer material fit in perfectly, and I think that, you know, especially with their kind of more stripped back appeal that Gravity has to it, it's going to appeal to a lot larger audience. And, you know, there was a massive amount of people there watching the band, which I thought was really, really cool. Then I was sort of dragged to Yumi at 6, and the band performed pretty well, to be fair. I thought that Josh Francesci's Franceschi, I don't know. His vocals were absolutely on point, and overall the band were really tight. It may not necessarily be my kind of cup of tea, but you have to respect it, and I think that the band delivered all the goods, really. But I have to say, Avenged Sevenfold, before I got my migraine, was absolutely incredible. And we got there when the band had just started playing Goddamn. We were sat sort of like to the far right of the speaker, so the sound was really, really crisp. Shadows was a great compare throughout the whole thing, and you know, tracks like Nightmare and a personal favourite of mine which the band rolled out, which I was so happy about, was MIA. You know, they have to be played to a festival audience. There were some poignant moments with So Far Away where the band, you know, obviously paid respects to the Rev, but there were some really cool bits like Higher, for example, when that spaceman, there was this massive spaceman that came out during the performance. And then they went sort of old school with Eternal Rest. So there was a real kind of mix of loads of different stuff. And even though I'm not a massive fan of the Hail to the King album, later on when the band came back, Shepherd of Fire was actually one of the highlights. I'm sure it's because there was so much fire going on, but it really created that sort of Avenged Sevenfold atmosphere, which I thought was really nice. Of course, they closed out the performance with Unholy Confessions, which, you know, there's that classic riff. And again, you know, they cherry-picked a fantastic set list, had an amazing sound. And Avenged Sevenfold, you know, that when they first performed as headliners, it might have been a little bit rickety, but now they've really tightened up their stage show, and they really live for this performance, you know, on the big stage.
Did you enjoy yourself tonight? I know I did. Every last day.
Ending with these massive fireworks and all sorts of stuff. And it was a fantastic ending to the first day of Download.